Brad, Chelsea, thank you for being here and welcome. So why don't we start by you guys telling us a little bit about yourself, and we'll start with you, Brad.
Yeah, my name is Brad Teasdale from Teaslake Energy Solutions. We've been going for about 13, 14 years now. So specialising in electrical, solar, in that sort of field, more predominantly in the renewable energies over the last few years. Yeah.
Good. And tell us a little bit about yourself, Brad, outside of work.
I'm a family man, 2 young kids, a wife. They're 3 and 8 years old. So, yeah, that sort of consumes my life, the business and the family. And when I'm not doing that, I like to get out in the bush and, clear my head. It's pretty much a bit about me.
Good. Thanks, mate. Chels.
Not much time for anything else other than
No.
family and work.
Yeah, exactly.
Chels, same questions.
Chelsea Briggs, owner of Profit by Numbers that I've been running for probably 18 months now, and had a business doing the same sort of thing before that. So advisory to trade business owners, Profit by Numbers. I am an accountant by trade, but don't hold that against me. I do have a personality, I think. But I sort of see that everything comes back to the numbers in one way or the other, and that sort of stems the conversations, whether it's in sales or marketing, GP. Outside of that, I have a 1-year-old who's just unfortunately fractured his leg this week, so running on not too much sleep this week. I used to race go-karts, sold my go-kart when I got pregnant. Yep. So I might try and pick that up again, and sort of same as you, just like to be outdoors and near a body of water as well. So anything ocean, river, anything where I can see water, I'm happy.
So I've known you for a few years now, and I never knew that you used to race go-karts. What's the go there?
Dad wanted boys, and he got 2 girls. So we raced go-karts, since we were like quite young. Right. And because I was the youngest, Dad, me, and my sister always had go-karts, and I had the slowest one because I was in a lower class. Yeah. So whenever we raced together, I had to be really good at the corners to keep up, which actually helped my ability to race. And then, sort of stopped doing it when we were a bit older. And then a few years ago, picked it up again and then got pregnant. And I was like, okay, I have to sell it again and then maybe pick it up again at some point. Yeah. So, Dean, my partner, races sports bikes. I race go-karts, and Archer's going to be a petrol head in one way or the other.
It's like he will be.
Yeah.
All the things you learn. So, Brad, tell us a little bit about your business, why you got started in it, what you do, and where you are, what kind of work you like, what kind of work you don't like, anything else that sort of comes to mind about your particular business.
Yeah, I guess I like the flexibility early on, just being able to control my hours and time and what I would be doing basically. So I just didn't like being told what to do on site and all those sort of things. And then, got into it. Passion's always been in the electrical and solar space. So predominantly with the solar as well, even as a kid, just really fascinated with solar panels, and sounds a bit nerdy, but that's something I was really excited about. And it's happened later in life, it's an industry that's booming now, which is awesome. Yeah.
What kind of solar panel stuff did they have when you were a kid?
It was more like Dick Smith's and, that sort of those stores where you could get the kits and make the cars with the batteries and stuff like that. So I was a bit in that nerdy side, doing that on the weekend when I was about 8 or 10. So
why did you decide to go into business for yourself?
Just better life, basically, that more opportunity, sky's the limit. You can earn more money, of course, if you do it right. It's just ambition basically. I've always been very ambitious to grow my own business, and seeing my dad run his business as well when I was younger was something that I sort of strive for. Yeah.
What kind of business did your dad have?
He was in irrigation, so a plumbing sort of industry. So bit of a one-man band, but it was good on the school holidays going with him and seeing all the nice clients in Toorak and Camberwell and all that, and just it was a real good experience back then. Yeah.
Why did you start business, Chels?
I started business to choose my own adventure as well. So I had a successful career in corporate, making other people rich and growing other people's businesses, but always sort of felt limited with having people that I still reported into. I still have pinned up on my board at home a novelty check that my parents gave me for my 21st, which was a check for $5,000 that said, when Chelsea realizes a lifelong dream of owning her own business, it was like to invest
Okay.
in something. So I've always wanted to have my own business, but I never knew exactly what it was going to be in. So like I love my corporate adventure that I've had because I've learned a lot of lessons. I love my accounting background as well. But I love what I do now because I think trade owners are great at being trades, and that's why they became trades, is because they're great at their skill, and then they get really successful at that. And they don't really have great business education through becoming qualified trades. So that's where we can really support.
That's one of the things that I find really interesting right throughout my career as well is it doesn't matter whether it's an electrician or a builder or an accountant or a lawyer. Generally what happens is if you're good at that particular field, you end up in business for yourself. But the skills aren't transferable.
Yeah.
There's a completely new set of skills that people need to learn. I went down a particular path where I bought a franchise, and that helped me learn those particular skills. But as a business coach, it's one of the things that I find, Chels, I'm sure you do as well. We need to coach and teach people the skills of business.
Yep.
Because you're a good tradesman or you're good at installing solar panels, doesn't mean that you're good at growing the business on the sales side, or when the business grows, managing the growth and putting in a management structure. And when you've got a management team, managing the managers, getting some KPIs in place so that you can actually get a finger on what's happening inside your business. This is all a completely different set of skills.
Same with, I see the mindset shift. Like tradies became tradies because they didn't like school most of the time. They didn't like computers. They didn't like admin. So they become trades because they're kinesthetic learners. And then the better you are, the less you're on the tools, the more you're behind a computer, the more you're doing admin, the more, and it's that mindset shift that it's kind of what they want, but it's also like, well, hang on, this is not why I went into business and what I enjoyed doing. So it's got to be that mindset that's like, you're not actually going to do your craft much anymore, and you are going to become someone that sits behind a computer most days. And it's finding that balance. And even some of my clients now, I've been talking to them who their businesses could run themselves. But I'm like, if you want to go out on the tools for half a day a week because that's what fuels your soul, then do that as well. Like, you became a trade for a certain reason. So
so Brad, you're kind of at an interesting stage right now because you're starting to put in a management layer. So like, what do you think about what Chelsea just said then?
Yeah, I've felt that feeling a lot over the years, that frustration of just being stuck in the office or doing all that work there and really being off the tools, which is a blessing and I was grateful for, but also frustration because I'm sitting there, isolated, the team are out in the field, and just feeling really alone in that sort of environment, and especially if there's work stresses or financial things happening, which I've had. It can be, really alone and isolating. Frustrating. All those emotions.
So how do you deal with that?
Well, now get good business coaches.
we paid him to say that.
All right, see you guys.
Thanks, Brad. We'll see you later.
Just having someone on your side, basically. So I think it's important to have mentors and other people that have done it, in particular, and all those things.
And I think even like you're part of BNI as well, and sometimes those networking groups of like-minded individuals, whether it's something like that or master plumbers or whatever you're sort of associated with, but it can be isolating being a business owner. So being able to network with other people that are like that and know that you're not alone with all the feelings that you're feeling is a good thing as well.
And I think with us, it's sort of like being in a tin can pinging around for the last few years for us, like trying different things and always trying to implement things and grow and then get kicked back down and back, forth. It's a bit of that cycle. So I think we're well and truly past that, but it's been a long sort of journey.
Carry on that theme, Brad. I got a tough question for you.
Yep.
What are the three biggest issues that you've faced? And if you can't think of the three biggest issues, what are the three that come to mind?
Oh, look, there's the number one, which is cash flow, which is probably tied to a lot of different problems, but just always the cash flow being a problem. There's early on in the business, it wasn't so much, but then I started to grow and started to do all these things. And then all of a sudden things happened like COVID and different things at that point. And then I realized that I was making some serious mistakes along the way as well. So, cash flow has probably been the biggest one. And then, just the frustration of continually trying to grow and then getting kicked back down as well. Yeah, I
Being
think
able to get that consistency.
consistency. Yeah, yep. And yeah, because you feel like you're going well for a while, and then all of a sudden you just get kicked down. So yeah,
But that's business, really, isn't it?
it
Like,
is. Yeah,
you have a good month, you have a bad month, you have two good months, you have a bad month. Like it's never linear. It's
yeah,
always, sometimes it really is 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
yep.
So what do you have to do in your own head to be able to understand that when you've had a shit period of time or a bad month, this isn't the end of the world, it's going to get better. But likewise, when you're having a good time, not to walk around with a big ego, feeling how good you are.
And that's
What
the
do
other
you
part.
do to measure, not so much to measure, but to help you with those 2 different peaks?
Yeah, I think now knowing the numbers and forecasting and knowing what's actually happening on jobs in particular at a granular level, which we've got really good with you guys. Yeah, so that's handy. But yeah, just realizing what's happening. So a lot of those times back, when the bad times were happening, you didn't know what was happening because you were just stressed out. Money wasn't an issue. You had to pay for things and stuff like that. So yeah, it was a bit frustrating at that time. So yeah.
So are you saying because now you've got some systems in place that you actually have an idea of what sort of workflow you've got coming up,
Yeah.
how much money you've got in the bank, how much money's coming in, how much money's going out, that it helps you when times aren't so good? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, I'm not perfect by any means yet. It's an ongoing process, but definitely a lot better where I can see, hey, we've got this much work coming up for the next month or two is pretty good. And that's with the Wink reports and everything that's there. So
Yeah.
I think with that, it's just, those proactive steps can be the indicators that, you have to pivot. So if your work ahead's going down, your sales are dropping, your win rate's dropping, you know about it before it's too late, before you're like, whoops, we've got no jobs next week sort of thing. So it's knowing that and going, that's not working for us. That's going to work. Let's pivot here. Try doing more of that. And that sort of, reporting with you of builders. Sorry if there's builders listening to this podcast, but
builders.
don't work for builders.
Yeah.
But you don't make money on certain clients or whatever. And okay, do less of that, because sometimes I see clients that just, they try really, 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 really hard and they're on a hamster wheel and they're like, but I'm working a lot and nothing's getting better. It's like, yeah, it's never going to change sometimes with, certain clients or certain pricing that you're doing and things like that. So yeah, you definitely have come a long way.
Yeah, definitely. And even with sales, me doing the sales, seeing my closure rate on a monthly basis is really good. So I can see that, there's not a sales problem if I'm closing at 40, 50% or whatever it is.
So what is your closure rate?
I think it's around there, 40 something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's pretty good. And usually if I click on the ones that didn't go for our quote, most of them I shouldn't have been quoting. So it sort of validates that, hey, that's probably not the right client to be quoting.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Like a 50% conversion rate's excellent.
Especially the size jobs that you do as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been pretty good. And yeah, obviously good times at the moment with all the rebates that are available.
But how important is it, do you think? Because one of the things that I always tell people is, generally speaking, the business owner is the best salesperson for the business.
Absolutely.
How much of a factor does that play in your 50% conversion rate, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's huge. I think to have a salesman come in and have that same would be hard. And I think I could probably close higher than they could in terms of the gross profit of the job as well.
Why do you think that is?
I think because the DNA of like the business is like, it doesn't get better than the business owner being there and present and talking and stuff. But it's not to say that you shouldn't grow and have salespeople, but yeah, it's a good first step.
Yeah.
Why do you think it is, Chels?
I reckon it's passion. Like no one's going to care about your business like you do. It's knowledge. So you know your business like the back of your hand. You know what you're selling, and it's power as well. So you can pivot, you can give a discount, you can change the product without having to like second guess and be like, what's my boss going to say if I do X? You can just like you can be that chameleon on the spot sort of thing. I always say, if ever you're going to get a salesman in, which is possible, but just expect 80% of what you're capable of. And even, not in the numbers, but just in the methods as well. Like when you get stuff in, it's hard because you want everything done the way you want it done. And like this is me included, whenever I've had staff, but you've got to go, okay, they got to the end goal and it's 80% of what I would have done. That's good enough because it's never going to be 100.
Yeah. Yeah, because you will get capped out, being the business owner, selling as well. You can only sell a certain amount, which is great, but Yeah,
We
if you
did
wanna go
those
to
numbers
next
the other
level.
day, didn't we?
We did, yes. Yeah. I was trying to argue the fact for the salesperson.
Yeah.
But yeah, to grow, I think you've got to take that next step. And it's like
Yep.
with any employee, if you get 80% of it, it's not to say that it's a bad thing. It's you can grow that way still.
And I
Yeah.
think to your point, like putting in, if it is power and knowledge and empowerment or whatever it is, how can you set staff up for success to be like, okay, well, if we have to empower them, what limitations can we put in, or what conditions can we put in so that they don't have to second guess on the spot, or they know what they can kind of, you've just got to build that same in, and, what's in it for them as well. So that's the passion side, is like, why, what are they going to get out of it as well? So I think if you can think, what do you get out of it and why are you good? How can we build that into the next guy that you hire in that role as well?
I think they're all good points. There's one other point that I find that makes generally the business owner the best salesperson. And it only works if they're actually a good person and a person of integrity, which Brad is. When you're sitting down dealing with somebody, especially in the industry that you're in, where you're going to be working in someone's home, if they can get a feel that you're actually a person of integrity and there's somebody that you can trust, they're quite often going to spend more money than if you had somebody come in from another company that had a salesperson and was cheaper. So I'm one of those people where I don't choose the lowest quote. And if I've got somebody that comes to my house that I like and I trust, as long as their quote is within a reasonable amount of the other one, they're going to get the job.
We both know a connection in sales, Serge Romano.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I did some sales training with him a few years ago. And the saying that's always stuck with me is, people buy off people they trust, people trust people they like people who will like them. So building that rapport and that trust is going to win every day of the week over
Definitely
the name of your company or whatever it is, the price at the end of the day.
And I've had a couple of salesmen over the years, and that's been that problem where they just don't replicate your that trustworthiness. Which is why they failed.
Can be.
Third time lucky, maybe.
I think it will be, because it's internal.
Yes.
So better the devil you know.
Yep. Has the experience.
Why did you get a business coach, Brad?
Oh, good question. I think I was about to. I probably shouldn't say that. I was about to give it up and pack it up. I was tired, burnt out. I think it was back in November last year, wasn't it? Probably this time last year. I'd just checked out. Like, I was just been fighting for a long time, with things that were happening in the business. We had a really good period, and then all of a sudden everything fell down around me. So I'd been fighting my way for that, 2-3 years after that, to try and fight my way back. And I was exhausted, really, and I felt like I was going nowhere. So I basically, how did we meet?
Through Dave.
Dave, the plumber. Yes, that's right. Yeah. And I think I had a few chats with Dave, and then he mentioned getting in contact with you guys. So, and just needed someone that's obviously got the experience in the electrical field as well, and knows the numbers and the accounting background and everything. So looking for a power team, and got it.
No pun intended.
Yes. Yeah, that's it.
How's coaching helped you, mate?
Just having a level head. I think when you are burnt out and, you're sort of in that reactive mode, it's good to have some balanced heads that are obviously experienced in both fields there to just float those ideas that you're having, or, stopping you from making that reactionary mistake.
Do you know, on the flip side of that, I think what's been good for you is you're trusting your own decisions more.
Yes,
I've noticed that even when we have a discussion, and exactly what you said, I'll stress test what you're saying and I'll push you a bit, and then you push back and be like, no, this is what I want to do. And John and I are always aligned of like, go with your gut. It's your business.
Yeah.
But like, you're validating your own thoughts, and yes, you still have us to sort of bounce it off, but I can see it in our conversations of like, you're getting more confidence in your decisions, because the decisions you've made over the last 12, 18 months have paid off, sort of thing. So
absolutely. And you guys being on that journey, I've made probably the hardest decisions of my life, I think, in last year, really. So it's been a very powerful year. And I think in doing that, I've probably restored my gut, trusting my gut, and the creativity's coming back, and I'm not just in that fear mode all the time. So it's been amazing.
Amazing things happen when you've got the courage to make the tough decisions.
Yes.
And some of the decisions you've made have been tough, like really tough.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we all knew they were the right decisions to make. And I know on a couple of occasions I said to Chelsea, let's just see what he does here.
Yeah.
Let's see if he's got the courage to do
Well,
it.
it's essentially killing the people-pleasing aspect of my
Yeah.
personality, which has been a big problem, I think, over the years as well. Yeah.
Yeah. But without being an arsehole. So you
Yes.
don't have to be a people pleaser,
Firm
but you
but
don't have to be an
fair.
arsehole as well.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes you do, but just when it's justified.
Yeah.
Firm
So
but
I think
fair.
one of the things that happens, I mean, we talk about private victories over public victories. And if you're prepared to make tough decisions and follow them through, that's a private victory. And it builds an inner confidence. And as that inner confidence builds, so does your ability to actually trust your gut instinct. Now, your gut's not always right.
No.
People think it is, but it's not always right. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't follow it. Because even if it's wrong, you can follow it to a destination that could lead you somewhere else.
Yeah. Still needs to be checked, doesn't it? Yeah.
It does. And if you've got some metrics in place, like you can get some actual factual data, not just the vibe of things, because this is how I feel, it helps either validate or helps you change your mind if you're on the wrong path. And the good thing about your business is you've got some of those now.
Definitely. Yep. We're not flying blind, are we? Absolutely.
Why do you think people should get a coach, a business coach? Or maybe a better question, what do you think they should look for?
Yeah, just someone that sort of aligns with their values and probably someone that has experience in that field as well. I know there's a lot of business coaches out there, and I've had a few where they've not necessarily had that experience and they've pretended they have as well. So there's a lot of that. So yeah, having people that actually know the real numbers, counting background and, your electrician as well is very important. So I'd encourage people to find someone that's got all that experience and not just a startup, meet up at a cafe coach, I would call it. Yeah.
Bit of a tough question for you, Chelsea, given that you are one, but what do you think people should look for?
Well, I hate the term business coach, as
Yeah.
everyone knows, but I don't know what to coin myself if it's not. If
Yeah.
it's not that. I think the same. So a lot of people have said to me, I've had other companies approach me that aren't in the trade business, and I stick to what I know because I've been in the trade industry for over 10 years and then now doing this just for trades. I know so deep different channels, whether it's systems, people, pay rates, material markups.
Yep.
I just know that so well. All of my clients have come from other coaches that have just sort of rocked up, turned up, have a conversation for an hour and go. Whereas I think, you and I obviously gelled with like, get your facts and figures in front of you. We're very metrics, figures focused. So it's someone that's, actually knows what they're talking about and are measuring your success somehow.
Yeah.
They're just sort of rocking up for a conversation every so often. And you can pay a mate to do that down at the pub for a lot cheaper, let me tell you.
I think to ask myself the same question, if I'm allowed to do that.
Yeah. If you want me to ask for it.
We can ask him. John, your thoughts?
Yeah. So one thought that came to mind when you're looking for a business coach, I think you need to find somebody who's going to tell you things you don't want to hear
Yeah.
as well. And I'm not putting anyone down out there, but one of the challenges that we do have with business coaches, you can literally wake up tomorrow and decide, hey, I'm going to be a business coach, and off you go.
Yep.
And people do that with no experience and no real knowledge about business or about coaching. So one of the things that I think is really important is if you've got a coach who just agrees with you or who doesn't ask you hard questions or who's scared to upset you, they're not the kind of person you want. You want somebody there that's going to challenge you, that's going to ask you awkward questions, and is going to ask you questions that you don't want to answer. Not be rude about it, but really start probing so that you can find out where you want to go. And some of those intrusive questions that I've been asked over the years by mentors have been the best questions. And when I'm sitting there on the spot, it's kind of, you feel a bit awkward, but you feel good at the same time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're 100% right. And I've even learned that through what I do is I've probably said things, but not so direct previously. And then 6 months later or whatever, something will happen. They'll be like, oh, I just wish I would have known. I'm like, we had this conversation. And I've learned like sometimes, and a lot of my clients have said, we just like it when you're like straight, direct down the line, just tell you what you think. And same with, that, especially around culture, like talking to owners and being like, if people keep leaving, what do you think the main problem is here? And who do you think the main problem is? Like, that reflection on themselves as business, because it's very easy sometimes for them to be like, this is the problem, and they're the defensive, and it's like, well,
Yeah.
fish
Yeah.
rots from the head, so
It's a victim
what do you think
mindset.
you're
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
it, doing sort of thing. So I agree with you, but I always say to clients, anything that I say or do is in the best interest of you and your business. So
Mm.
whatever I'm saying, it's in your best interest, even though it may not sound like it when I'm
Mm.
saying it.
Mm. You touched on something there that I really like. So if anybody listens to this and is having issues with staff, the best thing that I read was you get the staff you deserve. And I read that at a time where I was like, that is bullshit. That is bullshit.
It's all their fault.
Yeah,
They're all
yeah.
shit.
Yeah. But it's true. You get the staff you deserve. And if you want better staff, you be a better employer, you be
Yep.
a better boss, you be a better person,
Yep.
is where it all starts.
100%. Yep.
What would you do differently if you had your time again?
I would get help around me sooner and grow an actual proper business instead of just trying to wear all the hats and keep fighting and implementing these things that don't work. So yeah, I'd get straight into it and getting the support I need around me. So that would be business coaches, the admin support, and then just start to grow a proper business right away. For too long, I sort of just kept fighting and wearing all the hats and burning myself out and then making poor decisions. I think that's my biggest problem with what I've done is just kept the old mentality of just work harder. I think I'd probably change that a bit. Still work hard, but yeah, more smarter. Yeah. I think one of the biggest things that comes to mind is getting the big head and the ego when the money started rolling in. I think pre-2020 when things were, picking up and growing and there was more money coming in, I thought, how good's this, and then we went and bought a house and start renovating and just a lot of dumb things that were done in that period where I just thought I was bigger than, what's the saying, Ben-Hur? Yeah. And that's where it sort of was my demise, I think. And then COVID hit and then everything else happened. A couple of builders went broke and different things at that time, but it wasn't just one thing that happened, but it was a whole amount of things that happened. And I didn't have buffers in place because I was just being an idiot. So that was the biggest thing that I saw that I would, probably correct and be more level-headed, not be an idiot.
I also think that all businesses, even ones that I've been a part of, 100 million plus, none of them are just successful in a linear fashion.
yeah.
Like they all have failures, and it's what they do with those failures and the reflection on it and what happened there and pivoting and not doing it again. And, even talking to sort of clients coming on board, they're like, oh, this happened and I went bankrupt or I went into debt and now I don't even have a credit card, but I'm ready to go again. I'm like, well, you've learned the valuable lessons. And sometimes, even working with the really baby clients, I'm like, oh, you're so new. Like, let's teach you from day one sort of thing. But sometimes you need those failures to be like, ouch, that hurt. Like,
and that's the best thing. Like that happening at a younger age, it was a massive lesson, and I've learned a lot from that now, and I'm stronger for it. And it's kind of a blessing going into it. I'm 35 now, and I'm not, that old, but I've learned that at a young age, all those lessons. So it was
That
amazing.
is the great thing about failures, because you can have someone teach you can read it in a book, you can hear about it from somewhere, and it doesn't mean anything until you've gone through it. When you've gone through it, like somewhere down there at the bottom, there's the fucking lesson, and I'm never fucking doing that again.
100%.
But that is what is so good about failures. And one of the things that I loved when I was early on in business, because you have a lot of failures, you fail yourself to success. But if you just pick yourself up, dust yourself off, you're better than most people, because most people will give up.
Yeah. And on that note, there was literally so many times of giving up, but I kept pushing for, there's so much pain that we went through with, selling the family home, restarting again, all these things, at that time for, the last 3-4 years, rebuilding when I easily could have pulled the pin and just gone bankrupt and see you later. But I've kept fighting. So that's grit, that was the, learning from that situation, but also demonstrating the grit that it takes to run a successful business now. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
Can you think of anything in your life, Chelsea? Like, did anything pop up, a big failure that you had that you really learned from?
Mine was more just in corporate world of the corporate politics and a few things that happened that made my career kind of go one way or the other, and like lessons learned of probably not trusting in other people as much.
Yeah.
And I think all my clients know this now because I'm guilty until proven innocent these days instead of like innocent until proven guilty sort of thing. So mine comes back to sort of trust your gut. I did have another business before this as well. And it was a business partnership. And I went into that probably because I didn't trust in my own abilities enough. And so I had a little security blanket of like, I'll go into business with someone. And there was a lot of lessons learned in terms of like who you go into business with and just how you align and what you want from business. And, I talk about that with some of my clients now that are new business partners. And again, just from my lessons learned, I'm like, what do you both want out of the business? What are your core values?
Yeah.
All those sort of things to see that, they're aligned and okay, that's going to be a successful business partnership or not. So I don't regret anything that's ever happened in life because I think it gets you to where you are now, and it is the lessons learned. And now I have that faith in myself that I didn't have even in corporate world. I knew I wanted to do my own thing, but I was like, oh, can I? Like, how am I going to get clients? And did
Yeah.
it, and now I don't look back. Like, I love what I do. So,
Yeah, tell us your failure.
I've had so many. That what's in my mind now isn't actually a failure, but you've got to go way, way back to 2010, I think it was. And we had the really bad bushfires in Victoria. And I think, out in the King Lake area, there was over 100 people that died. Down in our area in Gippsland, there was, I think, 14, 15 people that died. And I had the contract to do the electrical maintenance at the broadcasting facility up the top of Mount Tassie. And as the fire came up the mountain, it essentially destroyed about a third of the building, which include the main switchboard, the generator, 20,000 litres worth of diesel exploded. Like, it was chaos. So one of the real big problems with that was not only was that all the local TV stations, it was also the emergency services broadcasting that just got shut down. So we had a disaster recovery where we had to install a whole bunch of generators and figure out what we could actually power up and get this facility up and operational again. And I wasn't long in business. And I remember I had 3 or 4 generators on site. I had stuff going on everywhere. I was so far out of my depth, it wasn't funny. I was nervous. And I remember I was tying a cable from one generator back to a switchboard on a catenary wire. And I was up there and I got to the point where I was so freaked out by what was going on, I nearly started to cry, which for me is very unusual because I'm not a crier. And in my mind, I just thought, I can't do this. I can't do it. So I was going to go down and tell the project manager in charge of the disaster recovery, look, mate, this is just too big for me. I can't do it. I can recommend someone that can, but I'm not your man. And then I thought, well, I can't just leave this cable like half tied up, so I'll just tie it back to the board. And when I get to the board, I'll go and see him. And by the time I got to the board, I'd calmed down a little bit. So I thought, I'll just install another cable. And I did that. And then I did another one. And then I thought, I'll just come back tomorrow. Fast forward, at the end of that project and then all of the works the installation works that had to go to replace everything, I'd made a substantial amount of money. And that became my base amount of money to build my business. So from that point on, I was financially stable. You've got to have the courage to back yourself, is what I learned. And at that particular moment, I'd lost my courage and I'd lost my ability to back myself, but I calmed down enough to get myself to the next step and the next step. And so if you haven't got the courage to go all the way through, just have enough courage to get to the next step. And that was one of the biggest learnings that I had in business, because from that point on, every time that I was out of my depth, which was a lot, I just thought back to that. And I was like, you know what? I got through that. I'll get through this. Now, the question is, conversely, what would have happened if I hadn't have done that and I had have walked down and I had have gone to the guy and quit?
Well, they would have had to try and find someone else and they might not. And then,
But I mean, for me, moving forward,
Oh, yeah,
every
for
time
business,
from that point on that I get to another point where I'm out of my depth, I shit myself and I quit because I've established a pattern. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So at those like critical moments, you've just got to have enough courage to go a little bit further.
It's like going up a big hill, isn't it? Look down and step by step and keep pushing yourself.
Yeah. just going back to what you were saying before, Chels, how long have you had this business for now?
I think it was like March last year.
So
where are we? 18 months?
18 months.
18 months.
18
Yeah.
months.
And then another business doing the same thing sort of 2 years prior to that.
Yep, in a partnership. So with this particular business that you've been in by yourself now for 18 months, knowing where you are now, what would you go back and say to Chelsea 18 months ago?
Just like back yourself. Like mine is, I was raised on trust your gut, but I was also raised a female, and I feel like females really struggle with trusting their gut and believing in themselves. So mine would definitely be just like, just back yourself and do it. I do remember when I was stepping out of corporate, because I was like quite successful in corporate. I was like, I'm quitting my job, and I didn't have my business set up, and I was just like, I have to take that leap. And Dean was like, my partner was like, but you don't have, like, don't you want to set something up? And I was like, no, because then that'll just delay, like when will be the right time. And that was probably the first step of me taking the leap, getting out of my comfort zone sort of thing. But yeah, if I look back now, and even people I talk to, they're like, what do you mean? Like you don't believe, or you didn't believe in your own abilities. Even my advisor, that I still talk to, he was like, what do you mean you didn't believe that you could? And I was like, well, it was just, I don't know, it was just an internal thing that, you know, the imposter syndrome, or like everyone has it. But I'm a lot more comfortable now in what I'm doing than I was 18 months ago, than I was 3 years ago, sort of thing.
Same question, Brad. You go back to little Brad 13 years ago.
Well, I had those same story back 13 years ago. Self-belief was quite low, and wanted to start the business and kept putting it off for probably a year or two before I did. And then, finally I ended up on a site with a foreman that was an absolute arsehole. Not to me, but just to the whole crew. And it was just toxic sort of thing. And one day I just said, no, I'm out of this. I'm gone. And I had maybe 1 or 2 solid days of work, which I was doing on the weekend, you know, cash jobs. And then, I just built it up from there. And, you know.
How did you build it up in the early days?
I think it was just a lot of hustle. It was just like putting yourself in front of it. Like I was walking, letterbox drops, and I was getting the crappest of crap clients at the start, because they'll see a letterbox drop and they think, oh, this guy's going to be cheap, you know. Yeah. And then, so start off with that. And then as you put your prices up, you sort of lose those clients because they were only looking for the cheap stuff. But just built it up that way.
How hard was it for you to put your first employee on? Was that a big decision for you, or was it quite easy?
Yeah, it feels like a while ago, but that was Jason, who's still with me now. He was my first year, and
that's a good success story.
That is
coming up the ranks in.
Well, he's coming up to 10 years, and he's expecting a watch, he reckons. So. from Bali, maybe.
Rolex spelled with KS at the end or something.
Yeah, that's it. But he's and he's stepped into the operation role now, so he's really stepped up and gets it there. But that was getting him as a first year was. It was actually quite easy at that point, because I was like, I need a hand. Like, you know, when you do a lot of electrical jobs and you're by yourself, it's up and down the ladder and then out of the roof all the time. So that was easy in the sense. I think it was probably next getting the qualified, which was a huge step. It was like, do I have enough work for him and all those things? But realistically, when I got him maybe the year after, I just stepped back and focused on getting a lot of work and stuff. And they were good times when it was just like, you know, 2, 3, 4 of us. It was a lot easier and not as stressful. So, yeah.
What got you over the line when you put your first tradesman on? Because that is, I remember for me, when I had to do that, that was one of the biggest decisions I ever made, because you're virtually doubling your workforce by putting one person on. And then I remembered years later when I was up in the 30s and 40s, and I'd just say, we'll just go put 4 more people on. Like, I don't care.
Just click.
But that's only like, you got 40 staff and you put 4 more on, that's just 10%. When you've got 1 staff and you put 1 more on, that's 100%.
Yeah.
It's huge.
And I remember where I was. Remember where I was sitting, and I was stressing out because I knew I had to do it. But it's one of those things, again, having enough courage, because I knew I had enough work for a few weeks, but then what happened? And then if I don't get any work, what do I do with this guy? I mean, I can't say, sorry, mate, we've got no work. You'll have to go home. I still got to pay him. So how did you get over that?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I was a bit different to back then. I was really ambitious and just got into it. And, you know, I just thought, you know, and at the time I was probably on the tools a lot before he was on there, you know, working a lot of hours on the tools myself. And I remember being quite tired from that. And looking to just, offload that a bit and get a qualified. So I
Mm.
think I saw it as if I can work, I was working nearly 6-7 days a week, long hours. I thought, surely if I get a qualified, I can, reduce my days for 3-4 days and give it to him and then start searching for more. But it was a big thing. I was nervous about paying his wage and everything like that
Yeah.
because it was easy with an apprentice because they were pretty cheap at that time. So, yeah.
I know this is an issue for some of the people I coach that are newer to business, when it's just them and they put their first employee on, they're like, how the fuck do I pay this person? Like, how do I know what to pay him? Where do I pay the super? Where do I pay his tax? How do I do all of that? And I know for you, Chelsea, that's not a problem at all. But was that an issue for you?
Yeah, look, I have to think. I haven't thought about it for a long time. Actually,
Yeah.
It's been a while, but no, I think it was all pretty smooth. I think, because Jess, my wife's involved in the business, and she was sort of looking up Fair Work and finding all that stuff at the time. So
She could understand what she read on Fair Work?
well, not really, but I think we were in BNI at that time, and there was a
Some help
wages
there.
person or something that was helping us at the time. So that was pretty straightforward. Yeah.
Well, that's a great example of what networking groups or business peer groups can do for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
When it's not so much about going to somewhere like BNI just to get referrals. Have people that you know and trust that you can lean on, and you can say, hey, what do I do here?
Yeah, absolutely. You got experts around you that you can just have a general conversation with. You don't have to pay them.
That's still like, some of my clients are still members of other coaching organizations, and they're like, we don't get anything out of the coaching at all anymore. We've outgrown it. But the networking of just going to the quarterly dinners
Yeah.
or the Bali retreats, and it's the water tank, coffee conversations with all the other owners, that's what they love, because then they don't feel alone, whether it's in misery or whether it's in success. They really get a lot out of that. And there's it's funny, there's kind of two groups. There's the trade business owners that keep everything really secretive and won't share how they got their success and won't share their rates. And then there's actually this new breed coming out, and there's also kind of special groups that they're a part of. They share everything because they want to grow together and they want everyone to lift together. And they're like, trades don't make enough money. Like, trade businesses don't make money. No one's charging enough. And if we all just lift together, we're all better off, sort of thing. And they're so open. I've spoken to them, and they're, 60 trucks on the road, 100 trucks on the road. And the bigger you get and the more successful you get, the more you share everything. The smaller you get, I don't want staff knowing my margin. I don't want staff knowing my turnover, because I'll think that and it's like when you get bigger in business, you share everything and you share that journey with them. And it was just refreshing to talk to them. And they're like, this is how I pay commissions. This is what we charge. This is how we do this. This is like, they just want to share and everyone to live together, because they're like, they've obviously got to a point that they're like, I'm not scared that you're going to take over my business when I've got 70, 100 trucks or whatever. But it'd be good if everyone could just share more instead of being secret squirrels.
One of the things that I've found about that is, because I saw that myself in some of the business, I don't know whether you call them networking groups or just almost like mastermind groups that I was in over the years. The really successful people shared everything. There was no secrets. Their figures, whether it was good or bad. And the people that weren't so successful were a little bit secretive. And I came to the conclusion that one of the reasons they were a bit secretive was because they wanted people to think they were more successful than they are.
They talk the vanity metric.
Yep.
Everyone will talk their revenue number.
Yep.
Which revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, cash is king. And they'll all talk about their turnover, but no one talks about cash in the bank or profit. Oh yeah, I went from 3 million to 5 million.
Yeah.
I'm running insolvent. I got 700,000 worth of debt and stressed to the max, but I've grown my top line, sort of thing. Yeah.
I remember learning it when I was in a group, and there was one person in there that was like just head and shoulders above the rest of us. And he was just completely open about everything. And I thought, well, if he's doing that, maybe I should start doing that. And as I started to do that, the numbers were the numbers. And there was no emotional attachment. If I made a loss this month, well, look, we made a loss. And if you can sit down with a group of people and you can say, look, we made a $50,000 loss this month. I don't know where or what or how. And it starts a conversation. And you walk away from that with some ideas on how to rectify it. as opposed to going in there and saying, yeah, I did $250,000 worth of revenue this month. I feel
Yep.
good.
Yeah, I'm flat out and busy. Everyone wants to say they're flat out and busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's good for the industry as well when they share that, because even the pricing, there's a lot of undercutting that happens in most trades. You know, electricians are
Yeah.
probably the worst for it, I would say. So having conversations and being open with it's really good, because, you know, some guy might say, I'm charging $100 an hour. How good's that? And that's, dude, that's not going to make any money.
Yeah.
You're going to get broke.
Yeah.
And actually, people might not know that. Yeah.
Yeah, correct.
Well, we've gone through like 45 minutes like that.
It's quick,
It's
isn't it?
been quick. So,
Good therapy.
as you've been growing your business, what have you learned about yourself, Brad?
I think the growth within to, sort of keep evolving, I think, because there was probably a period of time where I didn't evolve and change when I needed to. And you've always got to keep changing and learning.
Okay. Good answer.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Yep.
Chels, same question.
Yep, mine is I will always learning, never stop learning, and definitely backing myself with what I'm saying to clients. And I think, you know, we've touched on it a couple of times today, but the newer clients that haven't met failure yet, I'm really trying to protect them from it by saying, you know, this is what you have to do. And they're like, yeah, systems, processes, checklists, whatever. And I'm like, this is going to become and I can't stress it enough. And so I'm very blunt at times with their best interests at heart, and it is taking an effect. And some clients will be like, oh, I just love when you just tell me like straight to my face, like what I'm doing wrong, instead of trying to sugarcoat it, because you get, you know, so much quicker. And if they can do that, I see it a lot with clients as well, in terms of not giving feedback to their employees as well. So they'll give me feedback on their employees. I'm like, have you told them that? Oh, no. I'm like, so how are they going to grow? Like, how are they going to learn? Oh, they're never going to be the general manager. Oh, they're never going to be. Why?
Yeah.
Oh, because of this. Have you shared that with them? Oh, no. Like, they don't want to upset them, but I'm like, well, you're not helping them in any way, sort of thing. So, I think definitely I'm always striving to learn more in the industry, and just trust the knowledge that I've built over however many years I've been in the trade industry, and working across clients and sharing those learnings. What have you learnt about yourself through our business?
When I wrote that question down, I really wasn't expecting it to come back at me. That's actually quite a hard question to answer. So well done for answering it. I think what I would say is, one of the things that I've learned about myself is, when I know what I want and I get a goal and I get clear on it, I get it. The problem I've got is actually figuring out what I want, setting a goal that's realistic. That's my problem. Once that's locked in, it's happening.
It's in your sights.
Yep. Last question. What are you working on now that interests you? It doesn't even need to be work-wise.
Well, yeah, mine's work-wise.
We don't have lives outside of it. Or kids.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, ramping it up, the business, in a measured way, not crazy, but really growing the business and taking it to the next level, I think, because we're sort of hovering around the same level for a little while as we repair and do what we needed to do. So now I think next year is going to be the real go. Yeah.
Good.
Definitely.
Chels?
Mine's twofold. So personally, what am I doing in terms of lifestyle? Like, I've mentioned this to you. Am I going onto a hobby farm, and is Archer going to grow up out on land, or is Archer going to grow up in the city? Like, I'm at that point. He's only 2, but he'll be at school in 3 years. So I'm really trying to decide what I want for him and us from a personal perspective. Work perspective, I live in dashboards, as you both know. Yeah. And the more I work with clients, the more I'm really understanding what measurables have a great impact on them understanding how their business is going. And so I'm doing a lot of work in the background in terms of the next phase of that. And, you know, opportunity costs of callbacks or wrong profit margins, and really displaying the numbers of, like, because of this is what you've lost, instead of just being like, you had 6 callbacks this week. It's like, your opportunity cost of the profit for this month was X dollars. So yeah, dashboards is always what I'm doing in the background.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, both of you, for coming on in. I really appreciate it. It's been great sitting in my chair having a chat with you guys, but it always is.